Believe it or not, I think this one tip about Etsy selling is a total disaster waiting to happen. And in this video, I'm going to show you what you should actually be doing instead. It's something that could make or break how successful your Etsy shop is long term. I'm Daniel, and if we haven't met yet, I've spent my career working in the business world, specifically in strategy consulting and in business skills teaching. I've also been running a successful Etsy business on the side for the past 3 years or so. And when I first started on Etsy, it was fun, but also a bit confusing. I didn't really know what I was doing, and so I turned to YouTube for advice. And there's a lot of really valuable stuff out there on YouTube, but there's also a lot of crap. Amongst all the do's and don'ts, there was this one piece of advice that I just heard over and over and over again. Don't worry about branding for your Etsy shop. Now, I've spent my professional career in consulting and business at some of the biggest startups and businesses around the world, all of which always put a lot of emphasis on having an amazing brand. So this confused me a bit like wearing socks and sandals. It just didn't seem right to me. So I set out to understand why all of these people were saying that branding doesn't matter on Etsy. And I figured out that their rationale is usually that, Etsy is a search-based marketplace, meaning that shoppers just browse individual products. Instead of looking for specific stores or brands, they'll look through the results, click on a few listings, and then complete a purchase from there, without ever visiting the storefront or interacting with the shop. Fair enough, I understand where they're coming from, but I still disagree. First off, I think people often misunderstand what branding actually is. Sure, having a great logo is important, but that's not the only thing when it comes to branding. There's so much more. Let's take a look at Nike, for example. When you think of Nike, you probably think of that swoosh logo, right? But Nike's branding is so much more than that. It's about the feeling you get when you lace up your Nike sneakers. It's the idea of pushing past your limits, or the excitement of achieving your personal best. And importantly, that sense of belonging to a community of athletes. Nike's branding is all about making you feel motivated and inspired. And it's partly that makes you keep on coming back, not just the logo on the shoes. So what is branding really? Well, branding is the story you tell and the experience that you're offering. It's how you make customers feel connected to what you're selling, whether it's a product, a service, or just an idea. And a strong brand goes way beyond just the visuals, like the logo, for example. It's the emotions, the associations that come to mind when someone thinks about your shop or your brand. It's really about creating a consistent experience for your customers. From the way your shop looks, to the messages you're sharing, to the customer service you're providing. And every part of your shop contributes to your brand. It tells your customers who you are, what you stand for, and why they should care. Okay, great, but why should I care about branding as an Etsy seller? Well, a couple of reasons. There are so many sellers and so many listings on Etsy these days. And in this big marketplace, having a really strong brand can help you stand out as a professional and reliable seller. And when customers see a well thought out brand, it can do absolute wonders in making them feel secure in their purchasing decisions. And the moment that shoppers stumble upon your shop, your brand is what acts as an ambassador. And if your brand tells a story and gives off a vibe that really clicks with that customer, you've hit a goldmine. As rational as we all like to think we are, we're all very emotional at heart. And a brand that can tap into these emotions can really be onto something. And let's not forget that Etsy's charm is all about celebrating small businesses and individual sellers. People actually come to Etsy specifically for that, looking for this more personal touch rather than just buying a generic, mass-produced item. And you have the opportunity to use your shop's brand to showcase that you're part of that community. Use it to tell your story, what you do, and what values you represent. It's basically just an open invitation for your customers to forge a really deep connection with you. And that can be powerful. Okay, Daniel, but I don't have the money, the time, or the skills to do any of this. Well, the good news is that you don't need a lot of any of those to get started with this. Great branding isn't just about how much money you're pumping into it, it's how effective you are in utilizing it. It's completely possible to make a massive impact with a small budget. Let's take a look at my top 5 tips to help you get started with your Etsy brand today. But before we do that, if you feel like you're learning something so far, would love it if you would support me by clicking on the little thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. I post weekly videos about Etsy and business strategies on how you can improve your store going forward. So tip number 1 is to define your brand story. Before you do anything else, take a step back and take some time to reflect. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Who am I? What unique skills or perspectives do I bring to the table? And answering these questions will help you to build your Etsy brand story. This is basically like the foundation of your identity on Etsy and will help you to start figuring out what your brand is actually about. Secondly, I need you to know your audience. Understanding who you're talking to and who you're actually trying to sell your product to is so important. So you need to get to know your target audience honestly like the back of your hand. What do they love? What do they need? What pain points do they have? Knowing this will help you to start crafting and molding how you communicate, how you market your products, and even to decide what you're actually going to sell. You also need to develop a brand voice. Now, what's a brand voice? It's basically just how you speak across all of the different media that you might be using. So it's how you're speaking with your customers via Etsy messages. It's how you're communicating via social media. It's the language that you're using in your descriptions or even in your banner. You want all of that to reflect you and your brand. This is something that shouldn't really cost you any money at all. You just need to sit down and have a little bit of a think about how you can start making this consistent brand voice to yourself. This can be really powerful because it's something that customers connect with. They know they're speaking to a real human being and they connect with that specific voice that sits behind your brand. Next, use free design tools. And by that, I mean tools like Canva. Now, I'm not affiliated with Canva in any kind of way, but it's been an absolute godsend for me and with a lot of the people I work with. And why? Well, it's because, you can create professional looking logos, shop banners, and any other kind of visual branding that you need without any of the experience. They have a lot of templates available that you can get started with today. And the best part is that you can start with this for free. And then I touched upon this a little bit earlier, but you need to make sure you're staying consistent. Whether it's your visuals, your messaging, or the customer service that you're providing, consistency is really your best friend. It kind of reinforces your brand identity and also helps customers to, recognize you and your brand wherever they may be speaking with you or seeing you. Now, even better news for you is that you have access to my full Etsy branding bootcamp right here on YouTube, completely for free, no strings attached. In this, I'll take you through step by step exactly what you need to do to go from no brand at all to having an amazing brand that you'll be ready to dominate Etsy with. In this, I also talk about my Etsy branding workbook, which is an interactive workbook that I've created to help guide you through the branding process, step by step. It includes educational materials, practice worksheets, and even AI prompts that you can use to help build your brand today. I'll add a link to that in the description below, but if you want to learn more about that and about branding in particular, definitely go and check out my branding bootcamp next. I'll see you there.